Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this council meeting of the Nillumbik Shire Council. Members of the public are advised that this meeting will be live streamed and recorded, and the live stream recording will be made public on YouTube and the council's website. So the cameras are up there and they'll be pointing this way. So if you're in this area, you will be on the camera. We've had an apology from Wurundjeri man Colin Hunter Jr. From the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung Cultural Heritage Aboriginal Corporation. He's had car trouble and won't be making it tonight, so we will go ahead with an acknowledgement of country. It's a very handy whatever that is. The Nillumbik Shire Council respectfully acknowledges the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people as the traditional owners of this country on which we meet, and we value the significance of the Wurundjeri people's history as essential to the unique character of the Hurstbridge Christian to the unique character of the Shire, and we pay tribute to all First Nations people living in Nillumbik. We respect to elders past, present and future, and extend this respect to all First Nations people. We respect the enduring strength of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung and acknowledge the ongoing impact and past traumas of injustice from the colonial invasion, massacres, genocide committed against First Nations people, and we acknowledge that our sovereignty was never ceded. Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people hold a deep and ongoing connection to this place, and we value the distinctive place of First Nations people in both Nillumbik and Australia's identity, from their cultural heritage, care of land and waterways, and their ongoing contribution to many fields, including academia, agriculture, art, economics, law, sport and politics. We'll then move on to the Good Governance Pledge. So I ask Councillor McKay.
As councillors, we are mindful of our civic responsibilities and obligations. We pledge to take them seriously and to carry them out with diligence and integrity. We know the decisions we make will affect the people and environment of Nillumbik now and in the future. We undertake, therefore, to make sound and principled decisions of lasting value in a spirit of fairness and for the good of all. We also pledge to serve the needs and well-being of the community and the environment in an open, honest manner and to the best of our abilities.
Thanks, Councillor McKay. Now let me introduce to you Pastor Sam Scott of the Hurstbridge Christian Fellowship, which I suspect is a front for the Kangaroo Ground Fellowship.
Thank you very much to each one of you for the invitation to come again to pray with you, for you. It is a privilege and an honour to do so. Thank you. Let's pray. Dear Lord and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, we come to you this beautiful evening with thanks in our hearts for the lives you've given us, for the place you've given us to live. It is truly a beautiful setting. And yet we know, Lord, that there are many people today in this shire who are hurting. There are some homeless, some sick, some elderly, lonely, some broken. And we pray for them, that you would gather around them the people and the resources that they need, and help us to be also involved in that. I pray that you will profoundly bless the people of this shire with well-being, health and strength. I pray, Lord, for the emergency services that help to keep us safe, for the men and women of the CFA, the ambulance service staff, policemen and policewomen, medical practitioners, the SES, and whoever else is serving this community selflessly. Protect them, Lord, we pray, and encourage them in their work. Where they are short-staffed, we pray you will provide new recruits. Pray also, Lord, for the Mayor, John. Pray for each member of the council. You'll give them wisdom and insight that comes from you so that they can make great decisions for the well-being of this shire. Help them to know what is truly best. Help them to know what is harmful and to protect us from it. Give them a great working relationship with each other, mutual respect, friendship, and yet still be able to robustly and rigorously debate the things that come on the table. I commit this gathering into your hands for a good outcome. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Sam Scott from the Hurstbridge Christian Fellowship. Something for us to think about there as we move on with our deliberations. Do we have any apologies or leaves of absence? I don't believe so. So any declarations of conflict of interest on any of the matters we're considering tonight? No, we'll move on to presentations. Great to see some of our budding young athletes in the gallery today, and really happy to be passing on some presentations. So we'll go around those in alphabetical order by ward. So if we could, sorry, no, we're not going to. We're going to do the Australian Honours List first. Sorry. So I'd ask Councillor Peter Perkins to lead us off with our first Australian Honours List.
Thank you, Mayor. It was great yet again to see a member of our community being recognised for their achievements at the recent Governor-General's Australia Day Honours List, and tonight would like to congratulate him and his achievements. So Nillumbik resident Tim Smith, or Timothy Smith, was awarded the Australian Fire Services Medal, or AFSM, for distinguished service as a member of the Australian Fire Service. He's a member of the CFA. He joined MFB many years ago, where he worked as a mechanic, and he in his career he's worked up through the CFA, and now he's manager of fleet operations. But I think more importantly, Tim has spent a lifetime of voluntary service to CFA, particularly at Hurstbridge. He's been there for many, many years. He is a former captain of Hurstbridge Fire Brigade. He's also former group officer of the Nillumbik group. So he's very well respected in certainly in Hurstbridge and wider fire brigade circles. So I'd like to commend Tim for his dedication, service and achievement of excellence. He embodies the Nillumbik ethos of service, diligent commitment, and above all, serving the broader community. It's great that you've been recognised in this manner, Tim. Congratulations and thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. We'll move on to the sporting presentations. Ask councillors to come up to the, what are we calling that today? To the lectern, sorry. Up to the lectern to make the present, to read out the citation and to make the presentation, and we'll be having photos taken. So we'll start off with Councillor Joy representing Edendale Ward.
Thank you, Mayor Jimerick. I'm very pleased to be able to present this evening the Sporting and Cultural Achievement Grant to Renee Lister of Edendale Ward. Renee receives a $200 as a contribution for being selected to represent Victoria in swimming at the Australian 2025 Australian National Age Championships in Queensland. Renee trains 6 days a week at the Yarra Plenty Swimming Club, training intensively, sometimes twice in one day. It's quite extraordinary. Her dedication to swimming has now earned her a significant milestone, selection for the 2025 National Age Championship swimming event. Renee also enjoys 5 different sports: swimming, cross-country, track and field, tennis, cricket, and she plays basketball with the Eltham North Jets under-16 team. We wish Renee the very best in her future sporting pursuits.
Thank you, Kelly and the Nillumbik Council for this award and the kind mention. I feel honoured to be chosen for this award as I know there are many young athletes living in Nillumbik who participate across various sports that would be equally deserving for recognition. Although my parents cover the large costs associated with my sport, this grant will go a long way towards paying for entry fees at my upcoming national swimming event. I'm very excited to qualify for this event because I have been training for quite a few years and the hard work has all paid off. So far, I have qualified for 3 individual events and 2 team relays, and I am looking forward to representing my club, Yarra Plenty Waves, in Brisbane. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Renee. Now call on Councillor Perkins to make the award for Alice Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. Aria Mitchell receives $250 as a contribution for being selected to represent Australia at the 2025 Australian Futsal Team Tour in Barcelona. Aria is an avid sports person starting her journey in gymnastics, playing netball, and eventually she moved into soccer. Her soccer career started at the Eltham Redbacks, where she played for 2 years before being recruited to play in the Under-13s National Premier League at Alamein Football Club, and has now moved back to Eltham Redbacks as they have entered the WNPL League. Aria was selected to play soccer for Victoria in the school sport championships in Queensland, and there she was picked as one of the top 12 players from each age group, and then known as the All-Stars. She was then chosen for the Under-13 Girls Australian team to play in Barcelona in May 2025. Fantastic achievement. We wish Aria all the very best in her future sporting pursuits. I'll give you this. Do you want to say something?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I played in a tournament in Queensland earlier this year where I had the honour of being selected as one of the 10 girls chosen as the Australian All-Star player. As part of the event, I had an incredible opportunity to attend a presentation at Dreamworld. Being selected as an All-Star player has been a huge milestone in my sporting journey, and I'm so excited to share that I've been asked to represent Australia in a futsal tournament in Barcelona this May. I truly appreciate the council's support in making this dream come true, and I'm excited to compete on an international level. Thank you once again for your support on my sporting journey, and I promise to give my best and make Australia proud.
Councillor McKay for Swipers Gully to make a presentation.
We would like to celebrate Mayra Paccioni. Mayra receives a $200 as a contribution for being selected to the squad for the 2025 beach volleyball program in Queensland. Mayra has been playing volleyball since the age of 10 years old and has been lucky enough to participate in a number of programs. Playing at the top level team for 3 years in a row, where the team won the school state championship all 3 years. In 2023, they won gold in the Beach Volleyball School Cup. Mayra has been awarded runner-up for Volleyball Victoria's Most Valuable Player in 2023 and was awarded MVP, Most Valuable Player, for the division in 2024. Mayra also coaches Year 7 and helps coach the Junior Development Program. She also referees for Volleyball Victoria tournaments. We wish Mayra all the very best in her future sporting pursuits. Please join me, Mayra. Please do, yes.
Thank you very much. Mara is extremely grateful for this, and she passed on her apologies. So it happens that she's been invited to train with the Premier 1 team in the club, and so she's training with the seniors tonight, and she was very keen not to miss the opportunity, but she's very grateful. And if I have the opportunity as a father of a family with a kid, the very intensive sport programs, this helps a lot. It makes a difference. And in volleyball, the state program, the national programs are completely self-funded. So it's a great help and it's a great contribution for the community. Thank you very much.
And I'll make a couple of awards on behalf of, sorry, a couple of presentations on behalf of Wingrove Ward. Xander Botha from Wingrove Ward. Xander receives $250 as contribution for being selected in the Australia at the Colgate Games Athletics in New Zealand. He has been part of Little Athletics since age 6 and is currently part of the Eltham Lightning LA Little Athletics Club in Diamond Valley Athletics. Xander has competed in both state and national level and is thrilled to have been selected in his first international competition in New Zealand. His greatest achievements include bronze medal in the long jump at nationals and gold in New Zealand, as well as medals in the team's relay. We wish Xander all the best for his future his future sporting pursuits. So Xander.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for this grant that enabled me and my sister to go represent Australia and New Zealand. It was such a great experience. At the competition, I was able to make finals in my 100, 200 and 400 events. And I've got medals here. Well done, mate. Gold at long jump. And my team also managed to grab the gold in the 4x100 relay. So that was really awesome. So thank you for your contribution. It was a great experience. Yep.
So Talise Botha is our next award. Talise receives $250 as contribution for being selected to represent Australia at the Colgate Games Athletics in New Zealand. She's been involved in Little Athletics since she was 7 years old, currently part of the Eltham Lightning Little Athletics Club at the Diamond Valley Athletics. Talise has made state and national competition previously, and this is her first time being selected in international competition. Her main sporting achievements include hurdles, sprints and relays, and we wish Talise all the very best for her sporting pursuits. So please come up, Talise.
Thanks so much for this grant. It helped fund the trip. It was a great chance for us to compete against other athletes from different countries and gain some more experience in the sport. Unfortunately, when we arrived in New Zealand, I picked up a cold, which wasn't fun, but it taught me to push through even when I wasn't feeling great. The weather wasn't much better, with headwinds of plus 5 metres per second and sideways rain with a touch of cold. But then again, that's just a regular day in Melbourne, when it's sunny by lunchtime. But we weren't that lucky. Besides the weather and my cold, we still had fun, made new friends with the New Zealanders. My relay team also managed to get gold in our 4x1. So thanks again for the sport.
Thanks, Delise. So Councillor Brooker moved over here because it was too cold and wet over there, I'm sure. Couldn't get to play cricket. Our next one is Lola Durack, again from Wingrove. Lola receives $200 as a contribution to being selected to play at the Australian Volleyball School Cup in Queensland. In Year 7, she joined the volleyball team at Eltham High School, and in Year 8, she made the top team and has been selected to represent her school at the Australian School Cup. Lola has played basketball and football, and we wish her all the best for her future sporting pursuits. Please come up, Lola. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate it. Sorry, I didn't have anything else.
That's all right. That's the way we like to keep it, councillors, so we'll keep it short and to the point. Thank you all very much, and congratulations. It's great to see such young talent around the Shire and making use of the sports facilities that are around here. We'll now move on to the confirmations of the meeting of the 10th of December, confirmation of the council meeting of the 10th of December 2024. Could I please have a mover? Microphone.
I'd like to move that the council confirms the minutes of the council meeting held on Tuesday, 10th of December 2024.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Brooker, Councillor Cope. No further comments. All those in favour that they be accepted? Thank you. Carried unanimously. Next, we'll move on to petitions. We have a petition to construct a walking path along Caledonia Street in St Andrews. Do I have a mover? And we'll turn your speaker on this time and move it perhaps a little bit closer to yourself.
There we go. Turned on. Recommendation that the council receives and notes the two requests in Nillumbik Council construct a walking path along Caledonia Street, St Andrews petition, requesting a walking path along the Caledonia Street, St Andrews, in accordance with the Governance Rule meeting procedures. 2, refers this petition to the Acting Chief Operating Officer for Investigation and Response. And 3, notes that officers will advise the petition organiser of the outcome. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Joyner? Councillor Cope, do you wish to speak to that, or Councillor Joyner?
Yes, I'd just like to congratulate the community on putting together this petition, and I'm happy to support pedestrian safety in our towns.
Thank you. Any other councillors? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We move on to the next petition, which is to connect our community, is to build a safe pedestrian rail crossing at Coolabah Reserve in Eltham. Do I have a mover?
Yes, I would like to move this.
Councillor Mackay.
Yes, I would like to remove this petition as per the papers.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Joy. Councillor Mackay, would you like to speak to the petition?
Yes, I would. This petition has started by a local man, David Baxter, who simply just wants to be able to walk his children to school in a safe manner. The Eltham North Primary School catchment zone is separated straight down the middle by a 1.9 kilometre stretch of rail, which means it is not possible to cross this rail and walk to school without adding about 20 minutes onto your walk time. Unless, of course, you do what lots of the children do, which is cross the rail in an extremely unsafe manner. So this is an accident waiting to happen. So I think I might use his words just to set the tone, or set the picture, and then move on to accepting the petition. I should say that this petition is now almost up to 800 signatures, and it has enjoyed very strong community support. And some members of the community have told me that they've been wanting this for up to 35 years. So the petition calls upon the State Government of Victoria and Nillumbik Shire Council to urgently build a safe formal pedestrian crossing over the railway tracks between Coolabah Reserve and the Eltham North Adventure Playground, allowing local children a safe walk to their primary school. This need has been recognised and discussed for over 40 years. It is time to build it now. In the 2.6 kilometres of railway between Sherbourne Road to Wattletree Road, there are 8 formal pedestrian crossings connecting the communities on both sides of the tracks, averaging a little bit more than 400 metres apart. Yet in the 1.9 kilometres from Wattletree Road to Allendale Road, there are none, separating the community east of the tracks from the local community services and facilities on the west of the tracks. So this means that people who live on the east of the tracks cannot access by foot the Eltham North Primary School, the Eltham North Adventure Playground, Edendale Farm, despite this only being about 60 metres away, Eltham Men's Shed, First Eltham North Scouts, Eltham Redbacks Football Club, North Eltham Wanderers Cricket Club, further sporting fields, the dog park, the Diamond Creek Trail, which is obviously a major accessibility route for the rest of the Shire, and bus stops connecting Eltham Station, Diamond Creek Station, and providing access to St Helena Secondary College. The health and wellbeing benefits of living in a walkable community are well documented, and a new safe walking connection would open up these facilities to a large community that are currently cut off by the train line. The lives of over 500 local families would be improved, and walking would become a practical and convenient alternative to driving, cutting the number of short car trips around the train line. The residential area within a 20-minute walk of Eltham North Primary School would approximately double. In turn, this would reduce traffic congestion in and around Wattletree Road, which would bring benefits to a much wider segment of the community, including residents across Nillumbik. This is also the intersection that's near the level rail crossing, which would also reduce car use and bring significant benefits to the environment as well. It is time to connect our community. I highly encourage accepting this petition and making this a formal advocacy piece to the state government with our full endorsement. That's it. That's my speech.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Joy, you're on the other side of the tracks with all of the good things. What would you like to say?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Kate and I have a little joke about the people of Swipers Gully wanting to spend more time in Edendale, but of course people don't live in wards, they live in communities, and this train line separates our community. Agree 100% with everything Kate said. David contacted me last year during the election, and we met at Coolabah Reserve and unsafely crossed the train line and walked along the goat track so I could experience it firsthand. I, from that moment, told David that I was committed if elected, to work with the Swipers Gully councillor to progress this issue through advocacy and any other means we can uncover to try and make this thing happen for our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Do any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Coe.
I'd like to add my request that the council consider this petition, because having walked that from Edendale up to the next car crossing, it is quite a long way for children, and there is the way it's constructed, the railway line and the housing on one side and all the amenity on the other, that it makes for people wanting to cross the line in an unsafe area. So we should try and endeavour and make that safe.
Thank you, Councillor Cope. Any other councillors? Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to questions from the gallery. We've got two questions from two different individuals, so I'll read these. Is Gordon Allen in the... Gordon submitted the following question. Road drains at various points along Research Warrandyte Road are not maintained, and as a result, vast amounts of uncontrolled water enter and damage surrounding residential properties during heavy rainfall. This is predominantly due to concrete drainage pipes under driveways, which are never maintained by any government agency. Who is responsible for this maintenance? The response of council is, as in the case of all properties across the Shire, regardless of whether the road is a local road or controlled by council or an arterial road controlled by the state government, the property owner is responsible for installation and maintenance of any vehicle crossing required to access their property. This includes the installation and maintenance of any drainage culvert installed beneath the vehicle crossing, and the vehicle crossing culvert must be of a size capable of accommodating stormwater flows captured in the roadside table drain. The second question from Gordon Allen is, if not the council, will the council actively support residents and the Shire to influence the responsible agencies to proactively complete this work before any further damage to property is incurred? Response: property owners are responsible for maintaining the vehicle crossover and associated drainage culverts. As Research Warrandyte Road is declared a main road, the Department of Transport and Planning is responsible for maintenance and any other roadside drainage. A road issue can be reported via the Department to Transport of Victoria or Vic Roads websites at Report a Road Issue Transport Victoria :Vic Roads. Second lot of questions are from Ben Nguyen. Dear councillors, one of the 4 focuses of the council plan is sustainability, and solar panels are increasingly cheaper than fossil fuel powered electricity. Could the council obtain a grant to install solar panels on public buildings such as libraries? The energy, if not used, could be stored in batteries or sold to the grid, and in turn will make the grid greener too. Please advise. Council's Climate Action Plan 2022 to 2032, which guides council's sustainability actions. It includes a commitment to reducing community and council emissions with a target of to achieve net zero emissions from the council facilities and operations by 2030. As a part of this, council has an active and ongoing program of installation of rooftop solar and battery storage, which is partially funded through grants. Regarding our libraries, Eltham Library heritage is significant. Heritage listing and significant shading makes it unsuitable for current rooftop solar technology. However, solar panels have been installed on the Diamond Valley Library. To date, the council has installed and maintains 54 solar PV systems on public buildings, and the total installed capacity of 1,015 kilowatts, plus 7 battery storage systems totalling 254 kilowatts. In terms of what's next, we're about to install rooftop solar and a battery at the Hurstbridge Community Hub. The second question, also from Ben. Dear councillors, the entry ramp to Eltham Station runs ear level to the deafening train tracks. Hence, could be a major public health issue for thousands of commuters a day. Could the council install divider sheets that shield the commuter from the sounds of the track? Please advise. Eltham Station and the land surrounding the station is owned by VicTrack and managed by the State Government Department of Transport and Planning. We will therefore refer your inquiry to the Department of Transport and Planning and suggest you do the same, given that council has no jurisdiction within the station. That's the end of the questions from the gallery. As there are no advisory committee reports, we'll move on to officer reports. The first report is the December quarter financial report. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brooker.
Yes. Yes, Mayor. I would like to move that the Council receives and notes the financial report for the period ended 31st of December 2024.
Do we have a seconder?
I think I was seconding that one.
Councillor Cope. Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, it's always somewhat humbling after hearing the young people come and speak to us, and we certainly as councillors also pledge to do our best, like Aria said. But a comment on the rateable properties in page 10 of the report. The state government made a number of announcements over the weekend that were reported just yesterday. The new Nillumbik housing target is 6,500, down from the initial target of 12,000 set in the middle of last year. That target required Nillumbik to meet it by 2051. This compares more favourably to the Nillumbik housing strategy completed, which had a range of, I think, around 4,000 dwellings. Although the state government has reduced our target by 45%, it is nonetheless around 50% higher than our own strategy document predicted. Page 10 of this financial quarterly report states that the growth of rateable properties has been 66 in the 6 months until December 24. Well, if you use that growth rate moving forward for the next 26 years, you would give Nillumbik 3,432 extra dwellings, and those rateable properties, which is only around 50% or half of the government target. So reporting on the issue yesterday indicated that councils did not have a credible plan by October 26, then those particular councils would have planning rights removed completely. So these housing reforms not only remove resident third-party appeal rights, but threaten to completely remove councils from the planning process. People can draw their own conclusions from this, but suffice to say that identifying what levers we can use to credibly match the government's ambitions in this area will require some careful, complex work from the council and the councillors. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Cope? Any other councillors wish to speak? Thank you. We'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll move on to the Audit and Risk Committee meeting, November 2024. Do I have a mover? Councillor Joyner.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to note that Council notes the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 18th of November 2024 as per attachment 1.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Perkins. Councillor Joyner, would you like to speak to? Councillor Perkins.
Yeah, the minutes here at the table, just reading through the minutes. Look, I did note an apology for Craig Kamain. He was their risk and safety lead. He was unwell at that time, that being the 18th of November. We received the news just before Christmas that Craig did pass away. At that time, just before Christmas. He was an exemplary officer. He was incredibly diligent. He really did a heap of work towards the Audit and Risk Committee and all the background work there. 20 years with Nillumbik. He was one of the longest serving officers we had. He was brilliant at his job. I'd just like to pass on my sympathies to his family, friends and colleagues. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. I'll just note that Councillor Joyner and I went to the Audit and Risk Committee last night, and the Chair, John Watson, spoke extremely favourably about the work of Craig, that committee over a long period of time, and commented that he had made it a much safer place to be by the work he'd done on risk within that committee. Any other councillors wish to speak? We'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the the draft Domestic Animal Management Plan, otherwise known as the DAMP, for 2025 to 2029 for endorsement of community engagement. Do I have a mover? Councillor Cope.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to move that the Council endorses this draft Domestic Animal Management Plan, the DAMP Plan, 2025 and to 2029, for the purpose of public exhibition and community feedback for the period between 3rd of March to the 4th of April 2025. Secondly, endorses the proposed community engagement approach outlined in the attachment here to consult with the community during phase 2 of the project. And thirdly, considers the public submissions at the 13th of May 2025 Planning and Consultation Committee meeting. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Joy. Councillor Cope, would you like to speak to the motion?
I think it's most important that the Council adopts this DAMP plan, in that it makes a safer place not only for the residents, wildlife and the kitties. it's very important these all the animal community and the community's animals are made safe. Knowing that our pets can wander freely and could potentially endanger themselves with picking up diseases, parasitic engagement, and the area that they're wandering over affects the whole community, not only us as a community, the wildlife and the domestic animals that we have. So I think it's very important that we follow this plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cope. Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this report is to initiate phase 2 of the community consultation. The draft was informed by phase 1 and other very important research and benchmarking activities that the staff have undertaken. I'm very pleased as a pet owner myself to see this work progressing, so happy to support this. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Mackay.
In regarding the recommendation regarding a 24-hour cat curfew, I would just like to say that I think as a Shire we're a bit behind here, considering Australia-wide it's estimated that cats can kill between 300 to 400 million wildlife in Australia per year, and adopting the changes would mean that it would bring us in line with Whittlesea, Yarra Rangers and Manningham, who have before us been able to enact this. I think it's best for all animals, including cats and wildlife, birds. We've got some very precious things we want to protect here in Nillumbik. And whilst it's contentious, I think it's important to have this one put through, and it does reflect the broader community's ideals on this.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, this plan is one of the legislated plans that Nillumbik and all councils are required to prepare. Arguably, it is one of the plans with the most touch points in the community, as the numbers on page 15 say we have 13,328 registered cats and dogs in Nillumbik, and we just discussed around 24,000 households, so clearly many residents could be impacted by this policy. The consultation period ran for 5 weeks. June, July 24 received 707 submissions. You would always like more submissions, but there is now a further period of consultation, which is what we're moving tonight to put this report out for, running for 5 weeks from the 3rd of March to the 4th of April. It is also including pop-ups. There's going to be some Corflute advertising, social media, that type of thing. So if you have a particular perspective on the two central issues of dogs on sporting ovals and a cat curfew, we need to hear from you. Page 18 of the report outlines a 1-year period to allow education and adjustment to a 24-hour cat curfew. We will be hearing public submissions on the 13th of May, the planning and consultation meeting. So if you have views one way or another, turn up, show up, speak up. Councillors need to hear from you, and it is the forum you have to ensure councillors are aware of your views. Thank you.
I'm sure as chair of our consultation committee, Councillor Brooker will be looking forward to that meeting. We'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the proposed sale of council land at 311A Yanyin Road, Plenty. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brooker.
Yes, I will read this one out, but the recommendation is on there, but it's important, I think, that Council resolves to commence the statutory procedures in accordance with Section 114 of the Local Government Act 2020 to give public notice and undertake a community engagement process as outlined in Attachment 1 in regard to the proposed sale of the land known as 311A Yanyun Road Plenty, being the land contained in the Certificate of Title, Volume 11371, Folio 358, and shown as Reserve 1 on Plan of Subdivision, PS 416599M, on the plan in Attachment 2. The reserve is proposed to be sold by private treaty to the adjoining landowner of 311 Yanyun Road Plenty for the current market value of $10,000 plus GST. The proposed sale will be conditional on, and then it goes on. I think that's enough. I can speak to it from here.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Brooker, could we just have you formally say that it is as per the papers?
As per the papers, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, do we have a seconder? Councillor Joyner. Councillor Brooker?
Thank you. Well, it's somewhat ironic that one of our early meetings involves land sales. Some may say, didn't this cause something of an issue in that guy's last term? Well, I will say the intention to sell has different characteristics from that process. The reserve is proposed to be sold by private treaty to the adjoining landowner for a current market value of $10,000 plus GST. And the conditions of sale are, 1, council removing the reserve status. Now, that is the only similarity to 2018, the exercise we went through then. And the principal point is, just like 2018, the land is residential and does not have to be rezoned. 2, it's to be consolidated with the balance of the land at 311 Yanyun Road Plenty. And 3, the adjoining owner paying council costs in connection with the removal of the reserve status. Just for everyone's benefit, I think to identify 311 Yanyun Road, it is the property directly opposite the lights that allow a right-hand turn into the Plenty depot. I refer to point 12 of the officer report. The minimum subdivision is 4,000 metres squared, or 1 acre in the old formula, and the reserve is 221 metres squared. If consolidated into 311 Yanyun Road, the land would not be large enough to be subdivided under the low-density residential zone. Dot point 17, the purchaser will pay market value and all associated legal costs. Any public submissions can be made and heard at the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting on the 13th of May. So this sale has the effect of essentially formalising the nature strip of 311 Yanyun Road into that property. I have inspected the land and walked adjacent to it, and it does seem that it does adjoin the shared path of Yanyun Road that was constructed for the Yanyun Road duplication stage 1. So let's go to consultation and really see if there is anything I am missing or anything that the council officers may have missed. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Joyner?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. From what I can see, this sale makes sense to me also, but I do note to the public that they have 4 weeks from Friday to partake in the community engagement process, so I encourage the community to do so.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Any other councillors wish to speak? We'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We move on to the Local Government Performance Reporting Framework, Mid-Year Performance Report 2024-2025. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brooker.
Yes, I would like to move the recommendation on the screen, but that is that the Council notes the Local Government Performance Reporting Framework service performance results for the period from July to December 2024.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Brooker, would you like to speak to?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mayor. Look, for those residents out there who love a bit of data, and there are a number of Nillumbik residents who do, they can get really stuck into this report. Some areas I would like to comment on. One, statutory planning is a particularly sensitive political issue right now. Any delays in planning approvals in the context of this housing crisis are somewhat troublesome, so therefore it is encouraging to see the improvements identified in dot point 8. All that said, it wasn't a particularly happy year for council at VCAT. I don't know the details of the 9 decisions that were not upheld. I do know that councillors do appreciate any time that they depart from the council officer recommendation and are then those departures are subsequently affirmed at VCAT is always something they do really mark down. So 9 occasions in this period. I do want to comment on the Yarra Plenty Regional Library Board. I have been given a promotion in that it is Nillumbik's turn to chair the library board this year. I have been appointed to that role. And one area, if you look at the costs per capita in calculating the library costs residents would say is a fair metric to use. The per capita cost is a way to standardise the costs of the library service to residents across all local government areas. That said, the difficulty in this area, and actually in all areas of this framework, is that it does not and possibly cannot address the crucial metric of quality. It states our costs per capita are slightly higher than similar councils. Although I am bewildered as to how the costs have reduced from January 24 for the other similar councils, and it actually looks like an error to me. But look, nonetheless, maybe Yarra Plenty Library Service is a better quality and a superior service than other libraries. The superior service could be manifested through any number of ways: opening hours, computer support, availability of librarians, programs run, and maybe most crucially, our collection, both physical and digital. They're the books that we have available, could be larger and more comprehensive. So we do need to look at quality as well as the costs here. Also a comment on the number of library members in Nillumbik. On this metric, Nillumbik exceed the expected range. This indicates Nillumbik residents really value the library service, are members, and therefore have that vast array of library services available to them. The percentage membership is 48.32% of residents. It is vastly higher than other councils who form part of the Yarra Plenty Regional Library, being Whittlesea and Banyule, where membership is around 30% of their residents. So people join the library. It is the best free service that's out there. We're close to 50% of residents as members. We're within reach of that. Look, the other thing that we get that big purple tick on is, of course, the cost of elected representatives is also, I think, worthy of a comment. In this case, the cost per councillor at $23,492 for this 6-month period. This is way lower than the indicator range of $30,000 to $80,000 per councillor. So now, using my quality metric again, I think, how do we kind of assess the quality of what we're getting? Well, I think my observation is we're getting, very, very good quality from the councillors from Nillumbik. This is one area where, paradoxically, Nillumbik residents are getting the highest quality for the lowest possible cost. Thank you.
I think we'll all take that as a compliment from you, Councillor Brooke. Thank you. Councillor Cope, you all right? Would anyone else
Grant's comments. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak on the high quality of the president of the Yarra Plenty Library or the quality of councillors at Nillumbik? No. Any other comments? Thank you. We'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Now move on to the Youth Council Advisory Committee Terms of Reference 2025 to 2027. Do I have a mover? Councillor Mackay. You will move it?
Yes, I will move the Youth Council Advisory Committee Terms of Reference and recommend and move that the Council endorses the Youth Council Advisory Committee Terms of Reference, endorses the Youth Council Advisory Committee recruitment process, and requests officers to report nominations to the Youth Council Advisory Committee to Council for endorsement in May 2025.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Joyner. Councillor Mackay, do you wish to speak to it?
I will briefly take this opportunity to thank the Youth Council for the valuable insights, advocacy and leadership in this space. I would especially like to thank the members of the Youth Council that are moving on, whether due to ageing out of Youth Council, moving out of the Shire or moving on to other endeavours. And I'd like to state that we look forward to meeting the members of our new council once the nomination and selection process has been completed.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Joyner.
I would also like to thank the Youth Council that have done a wonderful job over the last 2 years. They're a very inspirational group.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to speak? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll move on to the endorsement of the terms of reference and expressions of interest process for the Inclusion and Access Advisory Committee. Councillor Perkins would like to move the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council acknowledges and thanks the outgoing members of the Inclusion and Access Advisory Committee for their contribution. That Council endorses the terms of reference for Inclusion and Access Advisory Committee as per Attachment 1. The Council endorses the expression of interest process for the Inclusion and Access Advisory Committee, and that Council requests officers to report nominations to the Inclusion and Access Advisory Committee for Council endorsement in May 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Perkins. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Mackay. Councillor Perkins, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Oh, thank you. I will. Yeah, I think I've probably about 4 years now I've been the chair of the Access Inclusion or the Inclusion Access Advisory Committee, you know, perhaps longer, but it's definitely the most enjoyable and most rewarding experience that I've had in terms of chairing an advisory committee. You know, this group of people, fantastic group of people that are currently on the committee, as were the previous, they're all community members, all people that care deeply about inclusion and access, you know, particularly with the view of making facilities in Nillumbik for all people, you know, all ages, all abilities, is really the intent. The committee works very, very hard. They're finishing their 2-year term on the 23rd of May this year. So there'll be expressions of interest that will go out for new committee members 14 from 3rd of March to 7th of April. You know, I'd certainly encourage any member of the committee who wants to, another 2-year term to please reapply. There'll be a assessment of the expression of interest in April of this year. Council will be briefed in May, and the endorsement of the membership will happen in late May, and there'll be an induction meeting on the 27th of June this year. So yeah, anybody who has an interest in inclusion and access within Nillumbik or certainly you know, around Nillumbik, please consider, you know, joining the committee and put your expression of interest in. It's well worth it, very rewarding, and we see the benefits that we all get out of it. Really, it's a fantastic advisory committee. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Councillor Mackay. Nothing
to say.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to comment? We'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We will move on to the Recreation Trails Advisory Committee, terms of reference and expressions of interest process. Positive ageing, sorry. Endorsement of the terms of reference and the expressions of interest process for the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee. Do I have a mover? Councillor Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that Council 1 acknowledges and thanks the outgoing members of the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee for their contribution, endorses the terms of reference for the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee, endorse the expression of interest for the process for the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee, and finally requests officers to report nominations to the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee for council endorsement in May of this year.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Perkins.
Yes, I'm the newly appointed chairperson for the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend their first meeting. I had a funeral on that particular day and couldn't make it. But I'm advised by officers they're certainly a very engaged and hard-working committee. Like the previous motion, they're finishing a 2-year term, which started in April 2023 and will expire April this year. So there's an expression of interest process running from 3rd of March to 7th of April. The officers will do that assessment in April. There'll be a briefing to councillors in May and hopefully council endorsement of membership in late May. So it's a similar process. I certainly look forward to working with the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee into the future, and I'm sure it'll be just as rewarding as my other experience with the Inclusion and Access Advisory Committee. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Councillor Cope, do you wish to add anything? Any other councillors wish to speak? We'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll move now to the Recreation Trails Advisory Committee Terms of Reference and Expressions of Interest process. Do I have a mover? Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council acknowledges and thanks the outgoing members of RTAC for their contribution, that Council endorses the revised RTAC Terms of Reference at Attachment 1, endorses the RTAC Expressions of Interest process, and requests officers to report nominations to the RTAC for Council endorsement by May 2025.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Brooker. Councillor Joy, do you wish to speak to the item?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased to move this item as the newly appointed chair of RTAC and passionate Trails user. The terms of reference have been reviewed and updated based on feedback from current committee members. Surprisingly, the strong feedback was that they wanted more meetings and longer meetings. So I was very happy to accommodate that, and we'll see how we go. I only have 2 meetings with the current group. We had my first meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I must say I really admire their passion. If anyone's interested in trails, as I am, please respond to the upcoming expression of interest. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Councillor Brooker, you don't wish to speak. Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the Council Plan Quarterly Performance Report, 2024-2025, second quarter. Do I have a mover? Councillor Joyner.
Thanks, Mayor. I move that Council receives and notes the Council Plan Quarterly Performance Report for the second quarter of 2024-2025.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Brooker. Councillor Joyner, would you like to speak?
Thanks, Mayor. Just to say that things look very much on track, which is great news, and we've been hard at work as a group working on the new council plan for 2025-2029, and hopefully that travels along just as well.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Councillor Brooker? Any other councillors wish to speak? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The Active Transport Fund application. Do I have a mover? Councillor Joy, a seconder. Oh, sorry, no, sorry. Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move that Council notes the application submitted under the Active Transport Fund with an estimated contribution from Council of approximately 1.7 million as a 50-50 contribution between the Federal Government and Council, and that Council note that this project directly supports Priority Action Number 1, the Maroondah Aqueduct Trail in the Northern Regional Trails Strategy.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Brooker. Councillor Joy, do you wish to speak to the item?
I do, thank you. So at this point, the item is really administrative. It's a retrospective motion. In effect, the opportunity to apply for this grant for the next stage of our trails was submitted on the 13th of January, and that was a timing issue with the grant opportunity opening late last year and us needing to get that application in by the due date before we could formally endorse it. So I'm very grateful to council officers for supporting us through that process so that we could even have an opportunity to apply for this grant. Unfortunately, it's now a moot point because we've learned in the past couple of days that we were actually not successful in this grant application. Now, this, while disappointing, does not change the fact that this section of trail is priority 1 in our Northern Trails strategy, and we will continue to seek funding opportunities to deliver priority 1 and beyond as per our trails strategy. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Councillor Brooker.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Look, it was disappointing news. You get that when you make grant applications. You don't always get them, so it is disappointing. But I concur with Councillor Joy. I really want to thank the officers that put this together at really short notice, which is one of the reasons we didn't have this discussion in December, because it was only really in November where we were, it says October the 31st, but then councillors, officers have got to get the application, and then they've got to determine our eligibility, our likelihood of success, the best options, the cost of the project, the scale of the project, have some kind of an indicative QS as to what would be the council contribution, given it was a 50-50 type contribution. And so, we would have preferred to have done this in November, but you can appreciate, the effort and research needed to put together a $3.4 million grant application meant that we couldn't do that then, so we're doing it now. And maybe, hopefully, the silver lining is having done the application, that puts us in good stead for a further application if one should become available in the future at another level of government or somewhere else. But this trail does intersect Councillor Joy's ward and then sort of ducktails into the Plenty River Trail in my ward. It is it would have been well, the trail still exists, but it would have been a wonderful thing to have been successful. We'll keep pitching, we'll keep trying. Nothing ends here. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak? Just sort of say, I think it is a very important trail in the northern region. It connects the city with the Yarra Glen, and then on to not with Yarra Glen. I've got this one wrong. Then very important trail, and we will continue to pursue it, and as well supported by the Northern Councils. So we will keep continuing on. Thank you. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the tender report, the contract 2425-018, Data Centre and Disaster Recovery Services. Do I have a mover? Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move that Council accepts the tender submitted by the preferred tenderer as per the schedule of rates in attachment 1, and I'm hoping that Blaga will smile at me when I say that the rest is per the papers.
Rest as per the papers. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Brooker. Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm supporting this investment as we need to stay proactive in protecting our systems, data and the services that our community increasingly relies upon. Investing in disaster recovery services means a faster recovery if something does go wrong, minimising downtime and ensuring business continuity. Technology and cyber threats are always evolving and we need to keep pace. The experts tell us that it's not a matter of if we experience a disruption to our services, but a matter of when. We also have privacy and data sovereignty obligations to our community, and this will ensure we continue to meet them at the highest standard. Most importantly, this is about reducing risk and protecting our community's data, ensuring that we remain secure and resilient.
Councillor Brooker.
Yeah, look, I would just like to say, I think the point of going through to a data centre is the predictability of costs that it gives us. And having predictability means you can budget more readily for it, and you have got more control in the future of what your costs may be. And that is more expensive than the current system we have, which is the cloud type system. But the difference is, depending on how much data you're transferring up into the cloud, depends on how much costs and stuff that you're paying. So this is a far more certain approach and a far more robust approach should anything go wrong, and that we have this off-site recovery centre to retrieve our data from. So I think it scores for predictability and therefore certainty for council outlays in this area moving forward. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak?
Yes, Mayor.
Councillor Cope.
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to just confer with Councillor Kelly and Councillor Grant Brooker in that mitigating our risk of data violation is very important in today's business, and having an industry best practice is most important that this council keeps up with it. So, yes, my conference. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cope. We're all extremely appreciative of Officer Dan Taquino's and his team's work on this, and so we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Councillor Joy, given that this has now been passed, could you please announce the person or the group that has won the tender?
Thank you, Mayor. The council resolution is that council accepts the tender submitted by the preferred tenderer, who is 1L Consulting Proprietary Limited, as per the schedule of rates disclosed in attachment 1, and enter into the contract per the papers.
Thank you very much, Councillor Joy. We now move on to tender report, contract 2425005, printing services panel. Do I have a mover? Councillor Perkins.
Yeah, I'll move the motion as per the recommendation in the papers.
Councillor Joyner, do you wish to second the motion? I do. Yes. Councillor Perkins.
Look, I won't go through the tender report. It doesn't make all that much sense until you read the confidential stuff. I suppose what does make a bit of sense is some of the sustainability implications. It's good to see that all paper used in the printing services panel, everything we print, must contain a high percentage of recycled fibre, a minimum of 75%. Recycled fibre, and 100% recycled paper is preferred. So that's when we print and write papers, envelopes, memo pads, invoice and statement books, printing products and brochures. The key source of base paper must come from plantation forests, preferably with certification Forest Stewardship Council program for the endorsement of forest certification. Vegetable-based inks must be used for offset printing requirements, and offset printing is the stuff that's produced in high volume, print run requirements. And packaging of printed materials for delivery to council to have minimal low environmental impact packaging. So, there are 4 preferred tenderers, but I'll hope that this motion gets through and then I can announce the preferred tenderers.
Councillor Joyner, do you wish to say anything? Any other councillors wish to speak? We'll put it to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Councillor Perkins.
Yeah, so the 4 tenderers and schedule of rates, well, the 4 preferred tenderers are M&N Printworks, Pedstin Proprietary Limited, Finsbury Green Proprietary Limited, and Ivy Group Victoria Proprietary Limited. And look, 2 of those companies are fairly local. Thank you.
We'll now move on to the tender report for the contract 2425026, Broad Gully Road and Bellbird Road intersection upgrade works. Do I have a mover? Councillor Perkins.
Yeah, I'll move the recommendation as per the papers. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Joyner. All those, does anyone wish to speak to the motion?
Yeah, very, very happy to move this one. I thought it was in my ward and Councillor Joyner thought it was in hers. I've just looked it up and it's actually on the boundary between Bunjil and Alice Ward. But certainly it's been closed for some years, and it's been of a particular problem being closed because the area around Collard Drive has really seen a huge increase in population and vehicular traffic. So, it was always a dirt road, and when all the subdivisions went in, and now more and more houses, there's been a lot of residents who dearly want to see that road reopened in Bellbird Road. So speaking to the officers before, what has been the delay is waiting on developer contributions, because the sealing or making of this road, upgrading this road, does not come out of council ratepayer funds. It comes out of an amount levied on developers. It's called development plan overlay. So, really the residents of the nearby estate have paid for the cost of upgrading this road through their developer contributions. They've literally funded it with the purchase of their properties. So there's no additional cost to the broader rate base, but it is an example of, I think, where the developer contributions can work. Otherwise, they might be waiting a whole lot longer. The delay was that there has to be a certain number of properties that are sold to actually have enough money in that developer contribution pool, and council's now drawing out of that to make the road. So commend the motion. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Councillor Joyner, do you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I too am excited to see this project being started and will ultimately result in the reopening of the northern end of Balbird Road, which has been closed for a number of years. So no doubt it will be much appreciated by the residents in that area.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Any other councillors wish to speak? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Councillor Perkins, would you like to announce the winner?
Yes, thank you. We're accepting the submitter, or the tender submitted by the preferred tenderer, and the preferred tenderer is MJ Construction Group Proprietary Limited, and the cost of the work is $823,000, $439.50, plus a contingency sum which excludes GST, and that contingency is $164,687.90. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. We'll now move on to the tender report contract 24-25-021 Eastlink Tree Canopy Replacement Program. Do I have a mover? Councillor Mackay.
Yes, I move that Council accepts the tender submitted by the preferred tenderer for the sum of the redacted sum, exclusive GFT, and enter into the following contract as per the papers.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Mackay, do you wish to speak to the...
I will just say that it's been pretty confronting driving along the Metropolitan Ring Road lately. It's a whole different type of road toll. And indeed, the realities of a growing city takes its toll. Whilst it pains us to have established trees cut down and native vegetation removed, I'm accepting of the 2-for-1 replacement program by Major Roads Projects Victoria, taking place locally at each of Eltham Lower Park, Challenger Street Reserve and Barak Reserve, with 200 trees already planted and 1,800 on the way. We love our trees here in Nillumbik. Canopy cover is vital for biodiversity and underpinning the character of the Shire that residents and visitors expect. Trees have a pronounced positive impact on a landscape. They provide shade in summer, provide character and amenity in reserves, increase property values and overall improve livability. I thank the tenderers for putting their tender forward.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Cope. Any other councillors wish to speak? We'll put it to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously.
To announce the resolution that Council accepts the tender submitted by the preferred tenderer, Urban Treescapes Proprietary Limited, for the sum of $856,000, exclusive GST, and enter into the contract below as per papers.
Thank you, Councillor Mackay. We'll now move on to Instruments of Appointment and Authorisation, Planning and Environment Act 1987. Do I have a mover? Councillor Joyner.
Thanks, Mayor. I move that Council, in the exercise of the powers conferred by Section 147(4) of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, resolves that the Nillumbik Shire Council staff referred to in the Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation, Planning and Environment Act 1987, Attachment 1, be appointed and authorised as set out in the instrument. The common seal of council be affixed to the instrument, and the instrument comes into force immediately after the common seal of council is affixed to the instrument and remains in force until council determines to vary or revoke it.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brooker. Councillor Joyner, do you wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Brooker, do you wish to speak to the motion? All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. We now move on to informal meetings of councillors, records, dated the 25th of February 2025. Do I have a mover? Councillor Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council, in accordance with item 20 of Council's Governance Rule Meeting Procedures, receives informal meetings of councillors' records as per attachment 1 for the meetings held.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Perkins.
Look, nothing much. The records are there. Really good attendance from this council to all informal meetings. I'm sure it'll continue. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Cope. Any other councillors wish to speak? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Far as I believe, we don't have any notice of motion, any delegates report, any supplementary or urgent business, no confidential reports. So we can bring the meeting to a close at 8:33 by our rather unreliable clock. So it might be 8:34. Thank you for the gallery for attending. Thank you for all those who have watched via the web. And thanks to you all councillors and officers.